does the job. So I'm going to do something kind of like that.
Let's see how that works on stage.
Yeah. Stop talking. I'm going to bring you here to talk. But I also make much better at this kind of stuff if I'm talking while I'm doing it. So if you want to feed me questions while I'm doing this, that would be great.
I guess what's the first thing that you do? For some people, it's identify the light source. For some people, it's identify the area. What are you doing right now?
I'm trying to figure out where to put the guy and where to put the other things. So this is just a basic Hellboy shape. And I already know at this point.
That's a technical limitation we're going to have to deal with the technique.
Is that getting better?
Yeah.
We should never start drawing this stuff. But since I've drawn this figure 60,000 times, I can cheat. And because I've drawn this basic figure, I already know because of the way the character's leaning. As soon as I draw the head and I put the one side of the nose on, I go, oh, he's leaning that way. Which means this side of his body is usually going to be in shadow. Because I'm not using, unless it's a dramatic lighting situation where, oh, I need a big sun, on this side of the picture. I'm usually going to darken the side of the character that's further away from me. It just helps create a dimension to the character. So, all right. So now that's where his head is, and this arm.
Pressure.
I just had a question about what was your training like? I mean, what program did you go that you were learning, and what do you think was the most important lesson you learned now?
Well, I learned a lot of things. Most of the stuff I learned that I'm doing here is self-taught. Also, art school a long time ago, so I don't really kind of remember what I learned. But I'll tell you, the most important thing I learned, or was exposed to, was a lot of drawing, and drawing with models, and light drawing. And one thing you notice when you're drawing people is there's usually a dark and a light area to them. And to me, a hand. Come back to this in a second. I didn't record it. But if you're drawing a hand in light drawing class, I know it's too late. If you're drawing a hand in light drawing class, and you go, oh, there's some tendons and things, and this area will do this a little bit, we'll do this a little bit. There's a couple little lines here, a couple little lines there. And you got kind of this, oh, that was kind of nice with the hairs on it. It's kind of nice little gray, nothing hand. But what I learned from light drawing is little by little, hey, every finger is at least partially in shadow, which makes cool things like knuckles and stuff really cool, because they're partly in shadow. The highlights and stuff in there, I love knuckles. They're so cool. It's so weird meat moving around in those areas. And then also, the darker the stuff is, you know what? If I do these kind of shadows, and this whole part of this hand is in shadow. You've got this big knuckle here, this big knuckle here. There's veins that go across the back of the hand. That's one of my favorite things. Because then, these kind of, okay, here's the vein. And this side of the hand is in shadow. The vein will stand out. So you start playing that game of what pops out of those shadows. And there's some kind of hole right there. I like that. Also in the forearm, and these shapes. I know my anatomy pretty good, but of course, being a comic book guy, eventually you just kind of go, yeah, I noticed some stuff here, and I want to pop this thing out, I want to pop about that. You play pretty fast and loose with the anatomy, unless you're doing an anatomy textbook. It's not really that big an issue.
Gentlemen, the green cap.
I was just wondering, what do you think the future of this kind of drawing as opposed to using electronic pads and things like that?
I don't know. There's no future in it for me because I'm scared to death of all forms of technology. My daughter would be very happy to tell you. She tries to show me something on Facebook. Everyone's screaming out of the room, begging for her to turn it off. I'm afraid that all our tax records will disappear. But it is, I'd assume, if you're talking to like the young guys who are working for Marvel and DC Comics, a lot of that art, I'm sure, does not exist in real life. And, boy, I just prefer paper.
Yeah.
So, that's a Mignola. And this is the stuff that, again, over years of doing life drawing and stuff like this, it kind of gravitated towards that kind of a look. I don't even remember what that was an answer to. I hope it answers to something. All right, that's the way. I'd hate to come here and just dash people's hopes. It's happened. I'm trying to avoid that this time.
Down front?
You find the longer you work, the more minimal you get.
Yes.
The question was, do you find the longer you work, the more minimal you get?
Yeah. Which at some point, that means your fans go, I liked your stuff better in '94. There's a lot more lines on it. Yeah, there were, but little by little, for me anyway, part of my style was, I don't need those lines. Those lines aren't doing anything. I can put 360 hairs on Hellboy, but if I put 5 on his chest, you go, oh look, he's got hair. And it's confusing. Part of my goal with this stuff is clarity. I want you to look at it and go, oh, I know what that is. And part of that I learned from, drawing stuff from Marvel and DC Comics. And you draw an arm wrapped around somebody. There's a little finger. This guy's Hellboy's fingers are wrapped around this guy's shoulder. Colorists are never going to know what the hell those are. So figure out a way just to make it black. Or, do something that makes that kind of stuff really obvious. So I gravitated more toward black and just simple shapes. Also now, what I'm doing here with this throwing in these black shapes, I'm throwing them in because I've done this stuff for years. I'm not drawing the figure and then starting to shade it. Because in my head, because I've drawn this kind of thing a million times, in my head I already know where the shadows are